Summary of Little B by Cleave. Little B, a Nigerian orphan who is 16 years old, has been in an immigration holding center in Essex, England, for the past 2 years. In 2007, Little B and 3 other women are let out of the holding center. None of the women have their papers or other documents that give them refugee status. But Little B has a driver's license and business card for Andrew O'Rourke, a white guy she met on a beach in Nigeria 2 years ago. She calls Andrew, who seems angry and aggressive, and tells him she is coming to his house because she doesn't know anyone else in the country, whether he wants her to or not. The 4 women, including Little B, go outside to wait for a cab. 10 days later, Andrew's wife Sarah, who is a magazine editor, and their 4-year-old son Charlie are getting ready to go to Andrew's funeral. Charlie always wears his Batman outfit and will only say Batman. Andrew killed himself 5 days after Little B called him and told him she was coming. Little B shows up at the funeral with Sarah and Charlie on the day of the funeral, and she and Charlie get along right away. Sarah barely talks about the first time she met Little B on a beach in Nigeria. She says that the only thing she remembers from that day is that the middle finger on her left hand fell off. Little B talks about how she got away from Nigeria by hiding on a tea-carrying cargo ship. During the trip, she has dreams about the terrible things she has seen, and after she is locked up in a holding center by British immigration officials, she still has nightmares every night. She spends her first 6 months in jail daydreaming about different ways to kill herself. Eventually, she starts to feel hopeful and teaches herself to speak English like the British. As Little B's story comes to an end, she and the other women wait for a cab to pick them up, but the driver hates refugees and doesn't pick them up. The 4 women start walking down the highway until they meet a farmer named Mr. Ayres, who lets them stay in one of his farmhouses even though he could get in trouble for it. That night, with a place to stay and food to eat, Yvette, one of the other 3 women, says that she had sex with one of the detention center officers in exchange for her release. However, the officer wanted to release more than 1 woman at once so it would look like a mistake. But Little B and the others understand that they can't get into the country properly because they don't have the right papers. In the middle of the night, one of the women hangs herself. She had been through a lot and was very upset. Little B wakes up and finds her dead body. She knows there will be an investigation and police, so she walks through the night to find Andrew's house. After the funeral, Sarah, Charlie, and Little B go back to Sarah's house, where Little B tells them about some of the things that happened to her on the beach and in the years since. Before she meets Andrew and Sarah on a beach in Nigeria, Little B and her sister Karuka see soldiers working for oil companies kill their whole village so they can take their oil-rich land. Little B and Karuka run into the bush and hide until they hear hunts and dogs coming after them. Little B and Karuka run up to Sarah and Andrew, who are on vacation at the beach, and beg them to take them back to their hotel with them so they can hide. The hunters come to take Little B and Karuka, but the boss says that if Andrew cuts off his own middle finger, he'll let the girls live. Andrew just can't do it, so Sarah takes the hunter's knife and cuts off her own finger. The hunter says that Little B will live, but Karuka will die because Andrew failed. He then takes the 2 girls away. Little B goes to sleep for the night in Sarah's living room, and Sarah calls her married lover Lawrence to ask what she should do. Little B is in Sarah's house, which scares Lawrence. He thinks she is dangerous and tells Sarah to turn her in to the cops. Sarah asks Little B to tell the rest of her story the next morning. After Sarah and Andrew get back to the hotel, the hunts take Little B and Karuka down to the beach. Little B hides under an overturned boat while the soldiers rape, torture, and kill Karuka, then eat her body. Little B sneaks away at night and goes back to where she met Andrew and Sarah. There, in the sand, she finds Andrew's wallet with his business card and driver's license. Little B keeps flying until she finds a trade port. There, she manages to sneak onto a ship carrying goods to England. When Little B finishes her story, Sarah thinks back to what led her and Andrew to that beach in Nigeria. In 2005, Sarah and Andrew's marriage is dull and tense, so she starts having an affair with Lawrence, who works for the government's home office, which handles immigration. After 6 months of sleeping together, Andrew finds out that Sarah has been cheating on him. This hurts him a lot. Sarah tries to make things right with Andrew by getting him to go on vacation with her to Nigeria so they can try to fix their marriage. In the present, Lawrence shows up at Sarah's house without telling her. He plans to stay for a few days, even though he told his wife he was going away on work. Sarah doesn't want him there because she's trying to figure out what to do with Little B, but after a short fight, she decides she wants Lawrence to stay. The next day, while Sarah is sleeping, Lawrence and Little B get into a fight. Lawrence threatens to call the police on Little B, but Little B tells him that if he does, she'll tell his wife about the affair and turn Sarah against him as well, which would basically ruin his life. After they've reached a standstill, Little B admits that she didn't come on the day of Andrew's funeral. Instead, she came a few days before Andrew died. Little B had been hiding in their garden's bushes until Andrew was alone. When she came up to him, Andrew thought she was a dream caused by his guilt, so he hung himself. Little B tried to stop him, but she couldn't. She thought she could help him by calling the cops, but then she would be arrested and sent away. So she let him pass away. Lawrence is shocked by the statement, but he knows that they both have a lot to lose, so they'll keep each other's secrets. The next day, Sarah, Lawrence, Charlie, and Little B go to London for the day to visit South Bank. Little B thinks about blending in with the crowds of people in the city as she takes her first steps. But she can't bear to leave Charlie behind, especially since she knows that Lawrence doesn't love him. Little B and Charlie play by the river, and Charlie tells Little B that he can't take off his Batman costume because he thinks that if he does, his father will really be dead. Little B tells him this isn't true and tells him that she is also just wearing a mask. Charlie wants to know her real name, so Little B offers that she'll tell him if he takes off his Batman outfit. Charlie says no. Sarah tells Little B that while Lawrence plays with Charlie, she found a lot of reading on the Nigerian oil wars and the refugee situation in England in Andrew's study. She thinks he was going to write a book about it. Sarah wants to do his work herself, so she calls her boss to tell him she is leaving her job. Charlie flees when no one is looking, leading to a mad search in which everyone worries that he fell into the river and killed. Lawrence gives Little B his cell phone and tells her to call the cops while they look. She does this, but before they get there, Lawrence finds Charlie. When the cops do show up, though, one of them thinks Little B is an illegal immigrant and arrests her. That night, Sarah goes to see Little B in jail. Little B tells Sarah that she didn't stop Andrew from dying. Sarah isn't upset, which is a surprise, but she does say that she doesn't think she did enough to save him. 3 days later, the cops send Little B back to Nigeria. When she gets on the plane, she finds that Sarah and Charlie are also on board. Sarah says that Little B is now a member of her family and that she will never stop trying to save her. Little B knows that her own government will try to kill her when she gets back because she saw the oil companies kill people. Sarah stays with Little B at all times to stop this from happening. She is right to think that the Nigerian government would not do something so horrible in front of a British writer. Sarah and Little B will spend the next few weeks meeting survivors like Little B and recording their stories. Sarah hopes that by telling people what is going on in Nigeria, she will be able to save Little B's life and the lives of other refugees. So that Little B can say goodbye to Nkaruka properly, Sarah and Little B take a risky trip to the beach. Charlie plays with the Nigerian kids in his Batman outfit as they all stand on the beach together. But 3 troops start coming up the beach, and Sarah knows they are looking for Little B. Little B runs up the shore to hide, but Charlie runs after her when the troops are talking to Sarah and pointing their guns at her. One of the troops shoots at Charlie but misses. Little B runs up to him and catches him in her arms, showing who she is. As Little B holds Charlie, she tells him to take off his Batman outfit so he can play with the other kids. She tells him her real name is Udo, which gives Charlie the courage to take off his outfit and run off to play with the other kids in his own clothes. Even when the soldiers get to Little B, she thinks it's so beautiful to see Charlie playing and being himself that she starts to cry. Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.